Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis, where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. This morning is a very, very, very great morning. As you guys can see, we have some wonderful individuals in the studio this Thursday morning. I want to say happy Black History Month. There's a lot of things going on that need to be recognized, and that's what this morning is about. In the next few shows over the next month and a half, we're going to be definitely highlighting Black history. So Are You a Black History Maker is the series that we're running right now. And in the studio with me, we definitely have quite a few people that are making Black history. Shout out to the Flow Studio family and my girl DJ, who's my engineer for the show this morning. We're actually at the last minute featuring her because she shared some information with me. And you guys definitely want to tune in for this beautiful song that she wrote as it relates to Black history. Then also we have our guest of the morning, Mr. Kenneth Morris, U.S. Navy veteran and pilot that's in the studio, is going to share a great story. Shout out to our World Youth Foundation. There's an event that's coming up this Saturday. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about some other amazing things that he's doing. And then we also have the co-pilot, Mr. Junior, in the building this morning. Mr. Kenneth Morris Jr. is in the building. His 4-year-old son, he's here to share some things and share the platform with us this morning. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. And of course, as always, I want to make sure that we show our show sponsors some love. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. This show is definitely powered by Dad Chronicles, which is my nonprofit organization. And we're just trying to make a difference within our Black community and also with our young Black men. And of course, as you guys know, that Show Me Support is definitely open to our young ladies and the queens of the communities. So definitely want to shout out Dad Chronicles to the whole show. But again, in regards to the show sponsors, I'd like to, of course, thank Miss Candace Joseph and the Joseph Consulting Firm for all the things that you guys do week in and week out supporting the Reach Podcast Show. So if you need any business tips, any guidance, any just support on anything from business startup to finish, they definitely can take care of you. Just visit the josephconsultingfirm.com. Tell them the Reach Podcast Show sent you so that they'll know the impact of the advertising and the love that we show them. And then likewise, the executive suite. Shout out to Ms. Kivia Jones, who's the owner and CEO of the executive suite. For all you guys out there that don't believe in traditional medicine, that is the main reason for this company right here. CBD infused products from bath oils to lotions to body butters to candles, all kind of things. You can definitely find that at the executivesuite.com. So you definitely want to go and visit that. And then, as I said, I definitely have to put up the World Youth Foundation and give them their due shout outs all the time. Ms. Karen, who's the president of that organization, they are involved in so much throughout the city of Houston and definitely with the Reach Podcast Show and especially Dad Chronicles. So want to show those guys love as they well deserve it. And just as a quick note, I have to keep shouting out to my man, Mr. Gerald Smiley, who's part of a fundraising, and he's actually the CEO of what we call Chipped In now. So if you're familiar with what is it, GoFundMe's and Facebook fundraising platforms, this is another way and definitely a much better, and I call it GoFundMe on steroids, time 1,000, but just chip in and look into that organization. And you can see all of the ways to follow them on social media at the bottom of the screen right now. And then if you need to make a phone call, he opens up his cell phone to make the call. So dial the number at the bottom of the screen. Tell him the Reach Podcast Show sent you, and he'll definitely look out and get you involved, especially if you're a nonprofit. Great for your organization. And they even have platforms for for-profits. So check out Chipped In and holler at my man, Mr. Gerald Smiley over there at Chipped In, who's the CEO. But without further ado, there's plenty of other people. I'll just shout out to my mans Floyd and Randy over at the Black Store. It's just appropriate to talk about them. It's the Black Store, it's Black History Month. So go get in all your shopping needs. Beauty supply is what it is, but it's not just a beauty supply. It's a beauty supply experience. They offer agriculture in the back of the store. They built the stage in the back of the store. They have barbershop. They have a nail shop, nail salon. 60 to 80% of Black-owned products are in that store. So go over and check out the Black Store, which is here in the city of Houston, off of Cullen and West Belford, and let them know again that the Reach Podcast Show sent you. So without further ado, again, I want to thank everybody that's tuning in and watching. And if you guys have any type of questions you want me to ask our guest this morning, just make sure you put it in the comments. And always share put watch parties up, whatever you may need to do. And then we'll also engage with those conversations as we can. But with no further ado, as I've said a couple times, welcome to the show, Mr. Morris. And before we do that, we want to play a song for you guys, like I said, from Miss DJ. And I'll let her get into why this is important to this time period and to the Black History movement. So again, Miss DJ, welcome. So go ahead and tell the people about what we're going to experience here.
Everything that was happening within that time. Even in that time, I went with my brother and we were marching in the protest and we were really getting involved. And I feel like I putting together with my skills and with my passion in life, just I had to bring it to music.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just so you guys know, she is the reason why the show is brought to you every week. She's the engineer of the Reach Podcast Show. Make sure everything's set up and gets me going week in and week out. So I want to say thank you for that. And then also thank you for this piece. But before we do that too, make sure you tune in every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks. We're going to be featuring, we have what we call Black History Month spoken word features. And I'm going to have some poets that are going to come on in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the show. And they're going to share some piece. But in place of that this morning, we have the song by Miss DJ that we're going to play right now. So let's get into that. Y'all let us know if you can hear it. Awesome. Yes, 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 yes. DJ, I love it. You know, it definitely has a deep message, and the fact that you thought enough to write it and express your feelings, we definitely appreciate that. But also just share how they can find it, where they can follow you and all of those things.
So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for sharing that. And thank you for being here and controlling the show for me. All right. Appreciate it. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You like it, little man? You like it? Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna get into it, man. So again, Mr. Morris, Pilot Morris, what do I call you, brother? Let the people know. Introduce yourself. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I know that's right. And shout out to the fam. I told her I was gonna do it. We didn't get a chance to circle back to it, but we got some family ties going on, man, that I found out. So yeah, definitely, definitely our cousin Miss Sharon Moncrief. Shout out to you. Salute when you tune in and you hear this. It was just amazing as I was getting together. As soon as I put the show flyer up, she hit me right away. Just like, man, that's an awesome selection for it. That's my little cousin. I'm like, what? That means he's my family. So that's what's up. That's what's up. They saying they can't hear you on your mic. Let's see just let us know if y'all can hear him better now. But yeah, so shout out to the family ties and everything that you're doing. But just go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know who you are.
The people that are unfamiliar with me, Kenneth Morris, legacy stallion, born and raised, north side, south side, graduated from Jones High School, military veteran. From there, learn life, like everybody else.
Absolutely.
Trials and tribulations. I was just blessed to be able to do it with airplanes.
Gotcha.
It's my means of transportation.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just coming back trying to help others, get exposed to what I wasn't exposed to.
Right.
Focused.
That's what's up, man. And so for me, the thing is just maybe you see it. I know you have some brothers that you work with and you collaborate with. And it's sounding muffled a little bit. Hey DJ, get DJ for me. So we'll make sure we get the mic set and that everybody can hear you. But we'll call her in here and make sure she gets that straight. But you work with a group of brothers, all being African Americans. Speak on that. I guess that'll be one of the first things I like to cover is what is it like not seeing our skin tone or seeing our skin tone to you?
Believe it or not, man, it makes a huge difference. It's night and day. For me, so the flight training I just went through, just 2019. So I just went through some flight training up near Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I was the only black person there for a year and a half.
Wow.
So there was no other black students coming through or anything like that. I seen a couple black instructors, and the moment I see them on the flight line, we instantly walk towards each other. Gotcha. It's an unspoken rule.
Right.
Bruh, I see you. I know what you're going through. We exchange numbers and we keep in touch to this day. So for those of you that are in a industry where you see others that look like you, don't take it for granted.
Right.
Because when I'm flying now, I intentionally look for African Americans, Hispanics, and females to fly with, because once they get to the industry, once they start flying commercial airliners, it's not going to be likely that you're going to fly with somebody that looks like you.
Right. So
we can just share relatable stories about how we grew up, what food we like, how our parents raised us. We really don't talk about religion or politics on the flight deck, but there are other things that connect us. I just feel much more comfortable flying with this person.
Right.
Again, once I jump in with anybody else, I have no idea who they are.
Right.
I don't know you from Tennessee to backfield, and nothing against that, but if we have an emergency, can I really trust, I rely on your training?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's up to par. But at the end of the day, if I know you from third ward and I'm from fifth ward, bro, let's get this plane done.
Yeah.
We'll deal with the rest later.
Yeah.
So, that ability to relate to people is priceless. It's really priceless. So
absolutely.
Seeing other brothers, seeing other sisters do it, and now it's really a movement that people are just unaware of. It's coming on. It's a lot of young people that are flying airplanes.
Yeah.
I say here at Sterling High School, I'm working closely with their program. you know, the whole focus is letting these people in dead end. You know, you come out of dead end, you get a pilot license and fly from here to New York.
Yeah.
17, 18, 19 years old.
The world is bigger than the dead end. You know, I think that's one of the things that if, for me personally speaking, and, you know, of course, it's a fact that the faster we can understand the plan and have different ideas and stuff like that, you know, so I you know, I applaud you for that. But speaking into that, I've heard about, like, there's been several people hit me when they saw the flyers, like, man, he's doing good in the community. There's a couple people that told me they went to school with you, Sharon Moncrief, our cousin, just plenty of people. And I've seen some things myself, but speak on a few of the things that you would like the people to know that are those unsung things, those things that are not talked about or recognized that you're doing.
But today, I really, my passion is what makes me up. You know, it was raining crazy here. You know, on the way to get here this morning. It was cold outside. I was like, you know what? You know, it was just, and it wasn't about money. It wasn't about notoriety. Any of that. It's like my passion. So the reason I say this is because I'll go to pretty much any community event that welcomes the idea of exposing people, because everybody's not on board with it.
Right.
Like, I have people that don't support the way you would think they should. They think aviation, like, I don't want my kid doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so it ain't nothing glamorous about it. So they think.
So they think.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Every celebrity you look at on TV, I done met them all.
Wow.
At the airport.
Yeah.
That's where businesses handle that.
Yeah.
On the golf course.
Golf course. Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're seeing on TV, it's just the afterthought of what happened already at the airport or on the plane or at the golf course, those business meetings. And my focus is trying to get us at those tables.
Right.
And you don't have to be 30, 40 years old. You can start that at 17 and 18. When I walk through an airport now, like, I'm the celebrity. But people in the hood don't know that.
Yeah.
So when I first started wearing my flight suit in Fifth Ward, people looked at me crazy.
Yeah, what this clown doing? You know?
Yeah. It ain't Halloween.
Yeah, it ain't Halloween. Yeah.
But now, weekly and Third Ward around TSU, that when they see the flight suit, they automatically start talking about aviation, or they've been to a program that I conducted. So that exposure and that awareness is everything. So if there's any community event going forward, you know, I will definitely participate. If it's something positive for the kids, I'm all there. It's not a problem. And I'm not coming there to recruit you for the military. Right. That's not my focus. Right. My whole idea is to expose you to stuff that you probably have no idea about, right? So I've been in events with Paul Wall. I've been in events with Derek Muhammad, the mayor, anybody you can think of that's doing something positive in the community. You've had contact. Yeah, I had contact. And I'm going to talk about something different, and my delivery is going to be different. Absolutely. Right? So I'm very authentic, and I'm going to tell you the truth about all 18 of my tattoos. You know, I started getting them in 8th grade. Probably not the smartest decision I made. Yeah. Right? Because I'm flying airplanes now, and it impacted my image. So I lost money. Oh, wow. Because I got visible tattoos. So let's hold that point, because I want to talk about that, you know, because that's important. And then it's a conscious decision, right? It's nothing wrong with getting the tattoos, but you got to think a little bit further down the line. And I think that with you considering what your future was, and not sure if that's what you even were thinking about at the time, but we'll talk about how, you know, critical thinking is what I teach with the chess club. And it's like, you got to think about those things, and it'll help us much more. But I want to circle back to that. You spoke on aviation not being popular and not being in high demand, so people think. But when they learn it and understand it, then they're probably like, man, I wish I would have done this a long time ago. So I'll be the guinea pig. You know, I know, of course, what aviation is and what flying is all about, but not in depth, right? I'm one of those people that don't know it in depth. So for the listeners that are paying attention right now, kind of speak more on aviation. What is aviation? You know, what is flying? What does it take to really get through that? Step back with the bigger picture, right? Aviation is really getting from point A to point B using an aircraft. At the end of the day, whether it's a helicopter, and whether it's an airplane, whether it's a private jet, United, so going from point A to point B with the aircraft, right? But within that, there are hundreds of jobs. Usually they think about the pilots because we up front, but what about the air traffic controllers? What about the mechanics? Not just the ramp agents that put the bags on the plane too, right? But what about the accountants? We need somebody to pay for the fuel. We need somebody to put the gas on the plane. We got our own customer service agents. We even got our own barbers at certain places, right?
Right.
So the smartest brothers I met, they went and started barbershops inside the airport. They charging the amount they want to charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to get your hair
They're
cut,
getting their worth.
they're getting their worth,
Yeah.
right? So it's all of these jobs that surround aviation. We got our own lawyers, right? So if we have an accident, I'm not calling nothing against them. I'm not calling 1-800, I just got hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have in-house attorneys that's on our speed dial. Hey, I just had this accident. They're gonna take care of everything, right? So if you want to be an attorney, you could be an attorney in aviation, and you're gonna fly all over the country, for little or nothing.
Yeah.
So those are just opportunities when we have career days at our school. Those people aren't coming to our schools and telling the kids, hey, it's cool to go be a basketball player, it's cool to be an artist, whatever the case may be. But if that doesn't work out, what about this option? What about this option? And I've probably been over 32 countries.
Right.
I haven't paid $1 to go to one.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
But it's because somebody put me in position to win like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what aviation is. Getting me out of my environment, getting me out of this place that I'm in, taking me somewhere else by means of any kind of aircraft. Right. So, and there are tons of jobs and you can be an entrepreneur. So I created my job. The job that I do now, you can't go to school and get my job.
Wow.
You're gonna have to learn how to.
You created your own lane.
Yeah, I created my own lane.
That's what's up.
So you can't go to get a college degree. I don't care if you got a doctorate. You can't take my job. Now, I can train you how to do it.
Right.
But it's the master really gonna teach you everything.
Right.
You gotta learn.
You gotta hold some secrets. You gotta go through gotta do the hands-on training.
Exactly.
So I definitely understand that. And that's good information, man, because I like how you tie in that it's not just about flying. It's not just about this. You know, people have to think outside of the box and understand that you can create your own lane. You know, there's somebody that can come in and get your toolage and create their own space, you know, those type of things. So, I mean, that's just amazing, man. So the thing that I wanted you to talk more on is you spoke about some of the smartest brothers. They create their own jobs like the barbershops and stuff like that. So what is it about a person that they need to understand how to develop that mindset to create their own lanes? What would you say in regards to that? And this is for the youngsters. And I'm trying to ask the appropriate question, right? But I want us to speak to our youngsters that end up seeing this and help them understand, where does your mindset need to be?
I think the first word to the mind is that fearlessness, right? I wasn't always like this.
Right.
The person you see now is not who I was in elementary and middle school. I was this bashful kid getting bullied and all that. And something clicked. It's like, I'm done with this. Like, I got to do something because, dude, you're not going to keep picking on me. I'm not going to stay broke forever. You know, I'm not going to have these friends bringing me down forever. You know, I cut my circle. The people that's around me now, my group chat, Roger, Rodney, Tika, Tanya, they're like, we talk every day.
Yeah.
Those are my people that I talk to.
Shout out to the homies.
Yeah, the group chat is on fire. They say some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's the group chat for me, as they would say. Yeah.
But those people, and I got other people that's in my circle, but that's the first thing I did was I shared the dead weight, and it's nothing personal.
Right.
But bro, I got kids.
Yeah.
Like,
got something to live for.
The young people is that fearlessness that stop trying to fit in, man.
Right.
Everybody else trying to fit in when in school now, they come to me for, hey man, can I get on? Can I?
Absolutely.
So it was my ability to say, you know what? I'll come back to that. I don't care about this right now. I got to go do what's best for me.
What's best for you, yeah.
And if you don't like it, you're really not my friend anyway.
Yeah. And for me, I can remember the time when I was in high school and even up close to when it was time to graduate, not knowing what you want to do. Not even that it's your purpose, you know, because it might take a minute to find your purpose, but just having no idea of what you want to do next. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the thing that did it for me, is that adds a lot of years to the journey. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has their journey and you'll figure it out. But I want to refer to the shirt, right? So there's naysayers. You know, you have pilot, I think it's rapper and athlete, right? You got rapper and athlete sketched, crossed out. So for the people that are looking at it are offended, you know what I'm saying? What would you say? What would you say to those people? Because I put it on the fly on purpose because I like it. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to hear from the horse's mouth, man. What did that mean for you? Right. Yeah.
I love hooping, you know. And it's nothing against the rappers and singers. I listen to music all day, every day. But
no offense, DJ.
yeah,
No
right.
offense.
I mean, no disrespect, no at all.
Right.
The message of the church is for those who put us in a box,
Mm-hmm.
right? So coming up, all I heard, that's why I'm so good at playing basketball.
Right.
Every morning I'm getting up hooping. And again, it paid for my education, but at the end of the day, we can do other things. All you told me was I could play basketball, football, and they tell you go be a doctor or a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we got to start thinking outside the box.
Right.
Because I know the other lane too, where I was getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting these tattoos for fun.
Right.
Like I was on the other side of the fence. So I know where that's gonna lead you.
Right.
So nobody told me though, hey man, what about you fly this airplane? The first plane I flew was $36 million.
Wow.
With no training.
Wow.
Right. So
wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, man. How did you get to the point of flying that $36 million plane?
It's funny because people think like my father's in aviation. I've got a barbecue spot if you want. Take it out if you want. You know,
shout them out. Shout them out.
Thompson Barbecue, Rodney. They doing phenomenal things over there, right there in Denver Harbor area, at Billboard's Thompson Smokehouse. So everybody think, my father a pilot, my grandfather Tuskegee Airman, all that. That's not the case though, right? So I got into aviation because I graduated out of Jones High School, South Park, loved it, had a great time, got in a bunch of trouble. That's a whole nother story, right? Had a great time, but I'm leaving out of school one day, shooting dice. I'm doing everything possible to get kicked out of school, right?
Wow.
Doing everything possible. And his brother walked in a white uniform, in a Navy uniform. I didn't know anything about the Navy or military. I wasn't even thinking about any of that. And I'm walking out, he walking in. He said, "Hey man, where you going?" Hey man, I'm about to leave. I lost my money shooting dice. I'm about to go get some money.
I gotta go re-up.
I gotta get my money.
Yeah.
He was just being a positive brother,
Yeah.
positive mentor. That's what my plans were. And we just started talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And then it built from that. So I built that trust in him, and it was never pushed on me to join the Navy. He's just looking at what my options are. So make a long story short, I had to take this test to get into the military, the ASVAB. I scored really high on the test, right? But my grades, I had a 2.1 GPA.
Man, listen, let me tell you something. let me speak on this.
That's how I started,
Baby girl Armani Nicole Ellis. I hope you're watching this. That's my oldest kid, my daughter, right? This girl gave me the blues in high school, before she graduated. Grades were just, up and down, and we talk about it all the time. But I tease her because she scored, I think it was like a 52, 54 on the ASVAB. And I'm like, how did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. She could have did whatever she wanted to do with that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I took the test, I get down the left and I see my score. I can see my score, you're looking at my GPA. They think I cheated on the test. They made me take the test again. Right
yeah.
They gave me the same exact test. I'm like, bro, I scored higher the second time, right? So if I scored higher, so after I scored, they laid out these jobs that I could have done. I could have been a cook, operations specialist. They had like 3 or 4 other jobs, and they had another piece of paper set off to the side. That was the aviation job.
Right.
I qualified for all of them, but they didn't show me that one. And I'm just like, well, what's that? I know it should have
really? You saw it on the spot?
Yeah, I saw it. I said, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What's that job? He said, it involved a lot of flying, looking for submarines. 90% of the people that try to fail, I advise you to go be a cook.
Just gave you all the negative.
I'm like, bro,
exactly. Don't tell me what I can't do, bro. Like, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
For my job in the Navy, I go to sleep at night. We fly around these huge airplanes. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
When you go to sleep tonight, this is what we're doing.
Exclusive information being released right now.
So when you go to sleep at night, my job is to fly around. I was based out of Seattle down to LA, all throughout the Pacific, Hawaii, Japan, all that. I listen underwater for certain sound signatures. So those Beats by Dre headphones, we had them 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's technology that's old to me.
Yeah.
Right. So we use those.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. You gotta know.
Yeah.
Right? So I use those same headphones. I listen underwater for certain sound signatures. And those sound signatures tell me if it's a submarine from another country,
right,
coming towards the U.S., with its missile doors open, what missile it's gonna shoot, how far it can launch, how big the explosion gonna be, how long we got to evacuate the city. My job is to do that 24 hours.
Brother, you top notch in here. Okay. He what's it classified? You classified in here. That's what's up, man. I mean, and it's so much that goes along with that. It is that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
And I didn't know any of that. When I was guys doing everything you could possibly imagine
To get kicked out and to get in trouble and wreck your life. Yeah.
That's why I'm so grateful for these brothers. And when I see these mentors out here, man, these brothers do bad chronicles. Like I said,
appreciate you, bro.
That's moving to me.
Yeah, and see, that's what it is. And I'm sorry not to cut you off, but that's what it's about for me, right? That story, your story, goes in so many directions, and it just makes me think about so much. So one, you were intentionally destroying your life, and in my words, I would think because you're from, dead end, you're from Jones High School, so you didn't have the exposure that you needed to navigate the waters correctly on your own, right? So then somebody stepped in. You were mindful enough to pay attention and listen and not be disrespectful. Man, get the hell out of my, all that type of stuff, and it touched you. You know what I'm saying? And then now look at you. You know what I mean? So I think that's amazing. So, my man, don't tap out on us, Junior. I want him to hear. Yeah. And that's all good, man. I'm just messing with him. But it's those things, man, even right now, it's going to resonate with him later, even in his life, just being present in the moment. It'll be things that'll come back to him. And those are the things that I like, those stories that I like about people when they really get it. You know what I'm saying?
It's so funny too when you mention him because he's around it. Like he'll see this uniform, him this normal.
Right.
Well, I walk somewhere else like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because he'd have been flying so many times. He flew more by the time he's 4
than me.
I didn't get on my first plane until I was 18.
Okay.
Going to boot camp. But if I ask, I'm gonna put him on the spot real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
You ready?
Scoot him up so they can see him in the camera. Pull forward, man. Pull forward. Go on, speak to us.
All right.
So, well, hold on. I want to introduce yourself. What's your name, man? All right, Kenneth Morris Jr. How old are you? 4 years old, man. Who's your number one hero? I thought he had it, but that's all right. I thought he had it. No, we know Pops is the hero, man. He let you watch Spider-Man too before the interview. So we're going to let you make it on that case. No, go ahead, Dad. Go ahead. Check the oil.
Okay, what else we check? Okay, we're going to check the wings, and then what else we going to check? Check the oil, we're going to check the wings, and then what else we going to check? The tires? The tires.
Already, man. You got to make sure just the basic stuff is in place, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Right. Yeah.
Kindergarten, that's how it really started.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody came and told me that.
Absolutely.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And he gonna, any automobile that he's in that has oil, maybe not necessarily wings, the doors or the windows or something, the tires, he gonna know to check it, and that's just base info. So man, I adore that, man. Like I said, my son's 7 and I try to expose him as much as I can. And sometimes, they put us through it, we be like, boy, go sit down, but that's just normal. But man, it's just so precious for them to get those things that they need, man, and get that exposure that goes beyond anything that we were offered, when we were their age, So that just speaks volumes. So I want to circle back to the tattoos, I don't know if that was necessarily one of the things you were trying to do that was altering your path in life, or just what it meant. But talk about, you said you lost money. So help people understand those decisions and how it impacts you later in life.
Yeah. So I don't know where this brother at right now. I remember the first tattoo I got. And some people laugh at it. Some people say it's part of the testimony.
Mm-hmm.
But the first tattoo I got was a tattoo of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
The Chucky doll in handcuffs.
Oh, okay.
Right? I'm in the 8th grade.
Right.
I used to walk around with my sleeve cut out for one, and then so you can see.
So you can show it off, right?
So in the 8th grade, I'm thinking, right? But for one, I ended up getting more tattoos. I think I got 18 total all over my body, right? But the thing is, when it comes to the boardroom, I know times are changing, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, it wasn't what it is now, where this diversity, equity, and inclusion, accepting people for who they are. Like, it's a big push right now.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 years ago, it wasn't, right? So if I walked in to fly your plane, I'm flying you from Houston, we stopping in LA, and then we going to Hawaii, and you just happen to bring your kid up there, and you see me in there like this, and I'm tatted up everywhere, right? And this is actually happening, where a person who doesn't look like me, don't understand the tattoo culture, don't understand the urban culture, they concerned about the person that's about to fly this plane. Because what pilot, if I know I'm gonna be a pilot at 5 years old, is gonna go get tattooed and destroy their body, right?
Right.
So I didn't know that. But my culture, my environment, this is what we did.
Right.
We got tattoos, we played basketball. Now I decided to make another decision and fly airplanes, but people actually looked at my tattoos and decided not to fly, not knowing I'm the best pilot on the plane.
You
right?
got the experience.
I've been doing this for 23 years.
Right.
Right. So, but the decision on them judging me on my image and the texture or color of my skin, they think that I'm not qualified just off of what my appearance was. So if I go to try to get hired at Delta right now, I likely won't get on. It's not that I'm not qualified, but it's because of the decision I made in the 8th grade. Because they wear short sleeves. And this is not what Delta Airlines represents.
Right.
I get that. It's nothing against them. That's their company. So what I did is I go start my own lane, right? Where I can be myself and be just as powerful and impact just as many kids as a large airline can.
Right.
Right. So that decision is what costed me money. Airline, the dude that's working above me making $300 an hour. Up below me making about $100 an hour. Right.
Wow.
So I'm right there in that $200, $250 an hour range just to fly an airplane.
Right.
And I don't get that opportunity based on something I did in the 8th grade. And like I said, I live with it. It's part of my story. I'm not covering them up.
Right.
It's what I tell young people now, though. Just think about everything you're doing, because once you get to this 30, 35, 40-year-old range, you know, it's gonna matter. Yeah, it's gonna come back.
So to be clear, and if you can, right, because I don't want to impose anything that would alter anything at this point, but if you could give a straightforward answer, if you can, like I said, what would you tell your younger self, being in the position that you know now? Would you not get the tattoos? Would you say, hey, I'm gonna get these tattoos because I'm gonna do my own thing? I don't know if that's something you can't answer, you know, so think about that first. You know what I mean?
Question, man.
What would you say, or maybe what advice? Like we kind of told them, but in hindsight, what would you say your answer would be to that?
In hindsight, I would say to my younger self, life is about circumstances, choices, and consequences.
Absolutely.
Whatever you decide, be ready to deal with those consequences. Understand and don't make impulsive decisions. Like I didn't have emotional intelligence back then that I have now.
Yeah.
So I was very impulsive. And if somebody else did something, I would go along with it.
Wow.
Now I don't care who you are.
Right.
I can do whatever I want to do.
Right.
Especially if it's positive.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, I don't care.
Gotcha.
I didn't have that confidence back then to do that. So if I could talk to my younger self, I would stress, and I do that. I got a 17-year-old son. I tell him that all the time. Stop following people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dudes you following, like,
yeah, it's a follow culture right now. Yeah, that's one thing about it. Yeah. Get these hands. Yeah. Right. Right.
And so, as a young black man, I know, and again, times are changing. And this thing, like, he played basketball, super good at basketball, but the kid is a genius when it comes to numbers. He tell me about trades that are going to happen in the NBA before they happen, and they really do. Everything from when Carmelo went to the Blazers, he tell me about the LeBron stuff like the kid is a genius, like stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him, like, okay, you can hoop, but are you going to the NBA? I would love for you to go. I can retire early, right? But if you don't go to the NBA, what is your plan B? Right. What's your plan C? And he's such a whiz with the numbers and the trades and knowing salary caps. I didn't even know what a salary cap was. My son taught me, right? So those are the things I try to instill in him. don't follow the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
If the crowd go that way, you go this way.
Right.
Right. And it's going to work out for you. So that's what I would tell my younger self is, again, be very mindful of the decisions you make, because that 30, 45 minutes I went to get this BS tattoo has cost me millions of dollars.
Wow. Say it again. You said life is about,
life is about circumstances, choices, and consequences.
Absolutely.
You're going to be in a certain circumstance. You're going to make a choice. You might have to deal with that consequence right there, but it might come back 10, 20 years, and you're going to lose something if you make the wrong choice.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's good nuggets. Shout out to Miss Talia Lowry. She's I'm gonna get to your questions, Miss Lowry. I'll trust me in just a minute. I love the questions too. But I'm losing my train of thought, so I'm gonna ask one of her questions right now. So Miss Lowry, she said, what advice would you give to someone trying to get into aviation but have no clue where to start?
My son want to be a pilot. I don't even know how to go to Google, but Google's not going to tell you. And if you Google images, you're probably going to see an old white guy.
Okay.
Do a commercial pilot. So this is what I would do. I would first, the very first thing, depending on what age they're in. So if they're 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you can get your pilot license. So you can solo at 16. You can get your license at 17. So if it's anything before 16 years old, keep them in the airport. Airports, whether it's Hobby or Pearland, at the airport, it's a smaller airport. Put them in, immerse them in that environment. One thing, pilots like to talk. Like pilots like to not necessarily brag, but they're a confident group of people. If you bring your young person out to the airport and you see a pilot and they may not be in this uniform, just ask them, hey, you mind talking to my son about what's going on there? Now, if you ask 5, 6, 7, they may not all give you the same reply,
right?
But you got to put them in that environment position first. Yeah, you got to put them in that position, and it's not necessarily a mentor per se, but ask somebody that knows how to get there. So if you look on Google, there is not a concrete way on how to achieve what I've achieved, because everybody has their own path.
Yeah.
So the very first thing is put them in that environment, and then do the research first. So the way you are successful in flight school, you actually study before you get on the plane. The plane is a horrible classroom. You don't want to be 10,000 feet up trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you do all the studying on the ground, and it's the same thing as the approach. You study everything on the ground first, and then you go to the airport and say, hey, I looked this up. Is this true? Is this not true? And before long, you'll figure out that somebody's going to be there to help you. The aviation community is very small in the sense of, if I start out here doing something wrong, if I say something wrong, they're going to call me on it, because I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
That's accountability.
No, they're going to hold you accountable, right? And they got all these little secret Facebook groups and secret chats, and your name going to come up. And the moment people start talking down on your name, you're going to have to verify some stuff, right? So,
absolutely.
And for us, we only represent 5% of the entire, all the pilots flying, we represent 5% of them.
Wow.
So it's a 95% chance a white man is going to come and charge me up if I don't say something that's safe and legal and consistent with what flying really is. So that's what I'm saying. Put the work in first, do your research, and then put that young person or older person, again, in that environment, aviation environment, hanging around the airport. One of my favorite sayings is, you hang around the airport long enough, you're going to get a flight. That's really
you're going to take off.
You're gonna get a flight.
Absolutely. So that's the advice you would give to people. And I guess this is a perfect segue for us to jump into the flight program and to get the license, because Ms. Lowry didn't know this, but she's in my head. She said, do you personally offer any one-on-one training, group training for those who are interested in the Houston area? And then are there any events coming up that you can gain exposure? So definitely keep an eye on my webpage this weekend. There's something that we're doing, which is a aviation flight field day with Mr. Kenneth Morris. As far as the in-person, that's already booked up and full, but we will be going live, and we will have a virtual platform for you. But let's get into the, what do you call it again? I keep mumbling.
Flight Academy. So that's something that we, actually the first time it happened, we actually have 20 young people from Houston, 16, 17 years old, that we have scholarships for. The scholarships right around $130,000, I think 130, 150. So the U.S. Air Force created this program that, again, if you're not in this circle, you're not going to know about it. Luckily for me, somebody put me into the know, They say, hey, the Air Force has 122 slots for young people nationwide to pay for their flight training, right? Not only pay for their flight training, because that's the biggest barrier to entry. If a person wants to fly, it's expensive.
Yeah.
My training was like $100,000. Like I didn't pay any money because the Department of Transportation paid for me through the program I was in. But for our people, the first license is $12,000.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody.
Go get that under the bed.
And just come back with your license. So that's just not normal for us.
Right.
So the biggest barrier to entry is usually finance. Right. And then the second one is accessibility to the airport. So when we talk about the Aim High Flight Academy, the Air Force started this. The first time it's happening this summer, where we got 20 young people from Houston. The Air Force is paying for their flights out to Pensacola. That's where they'll do their in Pensacola, Florida. They'll actually do their training there. They're going to pay for their housing. They're going to pay for their food and their flight training. So 12 of them are actually going to solo meaning they're going to fly the plane by themselves by the end of this training. By the end of 3 weeks, the instructor's going to get out the plane. You're going to taxi, like drive the plane on the ground. It's kind of like called taxiing. But you're going to take off by yourself at 16 years old. You're going to fly around by yourself and come back and land by yourself. That's a huge deal. Like for a lot of young people, really pilots around the world, that's like the first time you get loose in your car by yourself. Right. So this time you're thousands of feet above the ground. Right. With a lot of lives at stake. Right. So 12 will get to do that, and then the other 8, they're going to go to other parts around the country, to other colleges, and get their pilot license for free. Again, that's
for free. For the free 99? For the free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the biggest hurdle. So here it is. It's going to change these kids' lives.
Absolutely. And again, this is an experience that roundabout costs how much again?
So the entire experience probably about $12,000.
Wow.
And we got 8 kids getting that $12,000 spent.
Yeah.
And then we got 12 more getting probably around $5,000. Wow. But it's scholarship money that if our community, if I'm blessed because I know. Yeah. I'm determined to share that information with everybody.
Absolutely. So this first run, is that already full?
So that part is full. Okay. So what I've done, because we did have an overwhelming response, and that's the one thing I'm working on. I learned how to start telling people no, right?
Well, this for y'all that I told about this, that took it for granted. Here you go, right here. So go ahead.
We are going to do some training here. So my hourly rate alone is $50 an hour. Wow. It's 4 of us. So you're already getting a $500 value for those 2 hours that you're going to be with us that Saturday. Right. So we charge $20, and that's just to get into the museum where we do the training.
You get all the experience.
I'm not charging anybody. Like, this is one of those, if you don't come, you can only blame yourself.
Absolutely.
If the information is out there and you choose to sleep in, the person that came, you're gonna end up working for them at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you're seeking this industry. Yeah, man, that's good stuff. So if you missed it, go back, rewind it, play back, it'll be real. Catch it here, catch it on my YouTube page, and catch it on Anchor for the audio. But for the sake of time, man, I some other things I want to make sure we talk about. One of the questions that I'll go back to is as it relates to the field that you're in, and like with tattoos, we kind of spoke on it, but more specifically, have you ever, or can you remember being in a position where even when you started or even now, where you walked into a space, whether it be an airport or airplane, whatever situation, and you felt like, hey, maybe I don't belong here. You felt out of place. What did you do to overcome that feeling? And of course, this is for our youngsters that go through the emotional state, and start doubting themselves, and we want to push them through when they, like you said earlier, you got the most experience, you know what I'm saying? But there's still probably those times that you felt like you didn't belong. So what would you say to that young individual?
So for one, it's gonna happen more than once.
Right.
I didn't always have thick skin, right? I would be, again, I spoke about emotional intelligence earlier. I was the guy who, not necessarily my feelings was hurt, but you would get a reaction out of me
quickly.
Yeah, and it was just a poor choice because I wasn't taught early. Calm
down. Yeah.
Think, deep breaths.
Yeah.
It's like, think this through. Like, I didn't think like that until I got older. So for those young people, you're going to experience walking into a room and you're going to be the only one. They call it tokenism, right? So a lot of times I walk in, I'm the only one. But it's not a bad thing. That's what makes you unique, right? So that's what that's what people come to me for, because if everybody else look like this or act like this or talk like this, that's not what you want to do. Right. So I embrace my individuality. Like I embrace what makes me different. And for young people that, you know, they want to be a part of that crowd, and this a lot of it has to do with the media and what's cool, Instagram and all that. And they're digital natives, right? So they grew up in the internet. I remember a time when it wasn't the internet.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So when beepers were a thing.
That's what I was going to say, the sky pages and all of that, yeah.
Right? So I remember pre-internet.
Yeah. And
our way of communicating was, you know, social interaction, face to face. So what I tell young people, there's going to be many more times where you walk into a room, you're going to be one of one. My greatest advice I could give is you have to work like yourself. You have to take that time. You have to get comfortable in your own skin. Yeah. And it's nothing wrong with being different. Right. It's actually something you should applaud. Absolutely. If everybody the same, what's exciting about you? Yeah. You know? Yeah.
And man, if you don't mind me adding to that, and shout out to my man Lewis, who actually works at the airport, Mr. Lewis Brown. He's the owner of Mo Better Boxing, man. Shout out to the whole Mo Better Boxing family. They just were, I don't want to mistake what city they were in, but they just went 2 for 2. He has boxers and they fight. They do all that. Yeah, we can talk about that. But they just came back home with 2 belts. So shout out to those guys. But he was doing an interview with me as well. And we've heard it before, but it just sticks with me. He says, why not me? Yeah. You know, like if we adopt that, why not me? Why shouldn't I be here? You know what I'm saying? That type of mentality. And ever since he said that, man, I just think about that all the time when these type of questions are posed is, why not me? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with me doing it? What's wrong with me being in that position? So I definitely get it on that note. You know, and that's what we have to do. Like you said, that thick skin, we have to understand that we belong and lie back on our training and just talk to ourselves and understand that we belong in those spaces. Yeah. So I guess we'll just jump into what to expect for this upcoming weekend. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Saturday, right?
Yes,
Saturday. So, yeah,
but did you have some you?
No,
okay.
That's what we're dealing with young people this weekend.
Right.
And so one of the things I do.
Excuse me 1 second. Also tie in how this aviation thing relates to Black history too. And I know you're going to share some of that this coming weekend. And that's just another question I was going to share, but we'll just do it all at one time.
Yeah, not a problem. So this weekend, Saturday, that's my first event of 2021. I'm excited. Got a chance to meet. Shout out to Michelle Daniels, who brought it all together, reached out to me. The funny story is she said she was trying to locate me for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy. All because of Miss Ronnie and then Michelle making it happen. And then, of course, the organization, the World Youth Foundation, just allowing us to be in those spaces, man, put it together. It's yeah.
And she sent me some messages about how to get some money. So,
right.
You know,
she's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
So got an opportunity to connect with World Youth Foundation. Probably 2.5 years ago, I think, Miss Ronnie. Got a chance to speak with them. I want to say it was at Justin Robinson at a basketball. Yeah. And I played basketball over there with my friends.
Okay.
Right. So being able to come back and talk to young people over there about this, it's really an interesting transition because the guys I played basketball with, they had no idea that this was my passion.
Oh, wow.
So now when I come back and speak to the kids, they're like, what? You know, but they're interested. They're some good guys. And so when I spoke to the young people, and they were interested. And, you know, the thing that's different about my aviation presentation, so to speak, is they're very transparent. They're very honest. The young people ask me questions. I tell them the honest truth.
Honest truth, yeah.
And I have that freedom because I don't work for United. I don't work. Could I? Absolutely. Yeah. But the moment I start doing that, then there's certain things I can say in public that I can't really, you know, they're limited. Yeah. And I see that when I go to career days.
Right.
Like I know this brother. Like the stuff he's saying to you right now is because they're telling him to say that.
Yeah, handcuffed.
Yeah. So that's one of the biggest freedoms that I truly enjoy being an entrepreneur and taking a different path is I'm gonna tell you what I really think. So one of the things I start off when I start my presentation, if I go into any school, I'm not gonna name a particular school. We got some schools that the kids do what they want to do.
Right.
I start on my presentation like, look, bro, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a counselor, I'm not here to play with you. If you disrespect me while I'm giving my presentation, I'm gonna disrespect you back, and I can deal with whatever consequences come with that.
Yeah.
The whole room go quiet. Right. So the moment you set that tone that I'm here to give you something, and you might want to listen, and then I start showing them the pictures of where I came from, and it just changed the
that
whole
relatability,
tone.
man. Yeah,
Relatability.
that was something I was gonna speak on with the tattoos, man. You know, and I like that you embrace the story, but that's something even now, because that's a thing now. You know, these tattoos is a thing, that relatability, man, and now where you are now, they're buying into it. So yeah.
And like I said, there's nothing against people are offended. People are easily offended these days. When I talk about how I wouldn't have gotten a tattoo, that's my choice because of my career decision. When the pilot, not a rapper, not an athlete shirt came out, I got some push. I didn't care. Like, man, whatever, get out your feelings. Yeah. But the message is for those, don't put us in a box. We're geniuses. We can do. I mean, my friend is an astronaut that's out of space right now.
Come on, man. Come on. Shout out to Victor Glover.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Like, and the dude is one of the most phenomenal people. The only African American who's been in no other African American has been in space longer than him. He's up there right now.
Wait, this Black History Month. Let's say that again. Victor Glover Jr., first African American astronaut to be in. Oh no, longer than him. Wow. Wow. We need to talk to him. Okay.
Solid. When I say the dude is super smart, but yeah, that's Black history that people are just unaware of. One of the nicest guys you ever want to meet.
Right.
And a brother.
Yeah.
And he really gets it. He's really about empowering our people.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
I digress.
Yeah, it's all good.
Saturday is for the young people. What we're going to do is we're going to take them out to the Lone Star Flight Museum. Big shout out to them. $40 million museum here in Houston. A lot of people just unaware it's here. I used to be the director of education there before I started flying full time. And so they have it's a flying museum. So they have aircraft in the World War II era and newer that actually fly. So when we have the air show here, a lot of the aircraft participate in that. So my focus is exposing our young people to all of those opportunities out there. It's at Ellington Airport. So we'll do that Saturday. It's a private event. Again, my first one for 2021, but we'll have more. So what we're going to do is take the World Youth Foundation, the YIP kids, I think ages 6 through 18.
18, yeah.
So it's a wide range of kids, but we have something for all of them.
Yeah.
So for the 18-year-olds, my presentation is going to hit home more for them.
Right.
It's time for them to start making a decision on college or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
For the 6-year-olds and the younger ones, you know, we just want to get them involved and let them see the planes up close and not let them be afraid.
We'll let KJ talk to him.
KJ talk to him, right?
Yeah.
I was afraid of heights. People don't know that. My first time on a plane was on the boot camp. I thought I was going to crash on the way to boot camp because what everybody else told me. And I'm in Fifth Ward. So everybody in Fifth Ward, hey man, don't go get on. You don't have to go to the war. You got Look, now I'm glad you said that. That was actually going, and I gotta jump into this real quick. We'll get out of it. That was gonna be my silly little question to you, because I get anxiety every time I fly, man. You know, so what would you tell me, brother? I'm talking. I get, man. I'm like, man, what's gonna happen? You know. So once you learn why, okay. So aircraft don't fly because of, you know, the magic. Or,
it's really some mystery.
It's really a science.
We safe up there.
Right? So as the plane is taking off, what happens is the wind actually goes over the wing and this wind going underneath the wing. So the plane is actually sucked into the air, right? So as long as the thrust is, and it's going to have, like, especially with jet airliners, right? You're moving so fast that the lower pressure is what's lifting the plane off the ground, right? So as long as the wings are on the plane, if the engines die, you're just gonna come down.
Yeah. No
so
coast.
You don't fall out the sky like a rock.
Right.
That's what people were telling me.
Right.
Oh, if the engines die, what's gonna happen? So that's part of our training. They actually cut the engines off when we don't know.
Wow.
So, and the first time they shook me because I wasn't expecting it. So what they tell you is, hey, look out there. Make sure you don't see no other planes coming towards us. So I'm flying the plane. I look out, and they look like the engine.
Wow.
And the engine just died. Right? And I'm like, what the fuck? I got this mic.
Yeah.
I said, bro. So, yeah, it was nerve-wracking to say the least. But what it taught me was it's just quiet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just quiet. And the plane started gliding. And now I got to start making these decisions. I got, what's the best airspeed?
Mm-hmm.
And then, best rate of climb.
Training kicks in. Yeah.
And that's all it's about. And so every pilot goes through training all day, every day.
Yeah.
Right. So if the engines die, you're not gonna fall out the sky.
Right.
As long as the wings are on the plane.
Yeah.
Again, we're taught all day, every day, what to do.
You can just coast.
Engine,
yeah.
Right? So that anxiety is just not known.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say. I need to do my homework. Yeah, no. So I really wanted to ask that, man. It's something about it, but like it makes sense, when you don't know. If I know that, hey, if this happens, what else is gonna happen? It ease your mind. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. And since you had brought it up, you were talking about being scared of heights. It just reminded me to ask that question. But back to Saturday,
Yeah, so Saturday, I wish the weather was better, man. So I got actually. Shout out to the Bronze Eagles. There's an organization called Black House of America. They're an older organization, meaning history-wise, in Houston, but they call them Bronze Eagles. Sent an email out to them, said, hey, we flying these kids from World Youth Foundation. They sent over some brothers who got their own airplanes to come over and fly with us. And I'm like, that's what's up. So that's one of the biggest things is our organization is trying to make everybody come together.
Yeah.
Because some people got planes. Where I got access to a $40 million museum.
Right.
Where I was the director of education.
Right.
Other people have air traffic control access, where I can take the kids to the towers and meet the air traffic controllers.
Okay.
Just access to different buildings that I don't have. Gotcha. So that's what Saturday is about, is we're all collectively coming together to expose these young people to different things that they haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
So even if the weather does not hold, meaning if it's cloudy, if it's too cold, because we want their first experience to be a good one.
Be awesome, yeah.
Yeah, if for whatever reason it's not, we're actually just going to postpone the flying, but the event is still going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think Raising Cane's is
providing the food. Yep.
I think shout out Exotic Pop.
Yep.
Doing the drinks. That's huge.
Yep.
So the whole idea is let's collaborate, help these kids see something else.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Muhammad, he's the first person ever came and spoke on my behalf.
Okay.
And he was like, man, I believe in what you're doing. And he, even to this day, if I call him, he'll come out and, support.
Yeah.
He's like, man, but I really believe it. He said it on air. For our kids want to be something different, they got to see something different.
Yeah.
And that's what they see in you. Yeah. So that's been my driving force.
That's what's up, man. That's the why for you, or at least one of them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's huge. So again, man, shout out to Ms. Karen, World Youth Foundation, and the YIP section of the World Youth Foundation, which is myself, Ms. Ronnie Daniels, Ms. Ronnie Gabriel, and Michelle Daniels, and for Ms. Ronnie mentioning you, and then Michelle putting in the work, and I mean, she tracked you down, you know what I'm saying? And we finally had to meet. Shout out to Ms. Inga too, man. Ms. Inga Fries, and for you guys just putting on this event and making it happen, and giving the exposure that we've been talking about this whole time. And so moving forward after Saturday, do you have something already planned, or how do they follow you or keep in touch? I call this your commercial. How do you want people to keep in touch with you and find you and just stay in the know when it comes to things that you're going to be doing?
So the very best way, so I got to get better on social media, right?
Right.
So I'll just be so busy, I can't really stay on social media, so I'll post something and try to engage people, but I'm working on that part.
Work with them.
So if you follow me on social media, Instagram, it's all the same. The number 8, and then the letter R. So H-Town Aviator. And if you send me an email, Aviation-Community.org, I respond to those as well. We do have events coming up, especially as the weather clears up. We'll take young people flying. Just reach out. The hardest thing is taking that first step. I don't know that you want to go flying. So if you reach out to me, again, I've taken people on flights, on sightseeing flights around the city. We'll take off out of Pearland, fly down to Galveston, fly around downtown, come back, and it's their first time on a plane, but it's not like any commercial airline.
Right.
It's more personal, and I let young people fly the plane. You know what I'm saying? So once we get up there, we get up to 2,000, 3,000 feet. I'm gonna let go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you fly the plane, and that just does something for their confidence. So,
right.
Staying in tune with. You can look up Aviation-Community Foundation. That's the organization that I'm the executive director of. But just stay in touch, and as we put stuff up, sign up, because it really fills up fast, and we want to expose more people that are unaware of it. The thing is, though, once you tell somebody, or once they come to one of our events, they stay locked in. So as soon as we post something, they're the first ones to sign up.
First ones to sign up, yeah.
Because they see the value and the benefit of it. So,
like
I said, just stay plugged in that way via social media, email, or going to your website.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do to help any of these young people, I'm all for it.
Right. And I appreciate that, man. And so as you guys can see, I have Mr. Kenneth Morris, U.S. Navy veteran and pilot, executive director of Aviation and Community Foundation. And then I was so engaged in our conversation, I forgot to put the little banners up. So I'm going to do that again for this weekend. We call it YIP Saturdays as it pertains to the World Youth Foundation. As you know, we bring a virtual experience to our kids once every second Saturday of each month. And so this month we are doing the field trips. That was the event that we're talking about this coming Saturday. And so as you can see, for YIP Saturdays, it's Aviation Day at Lone Star Flight Museum, which is basically Ellerton Field Airport. And we are definitely already full, but I will put this website up here. So if you can grab that, and basically what you'll do is you'll just catch us doing the virtual experience. You know, and for the ones who can't be there, we want to make sure you have the chance. I'll put that website in the comments. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. But this is amazing information, and even more so an amazing experience. So definitely want to stay in touch with Mr. Morris and just follow him on all those platforms he was talking about, and get into aviation, man, because it take you far, you know, like literally it take you far, you know, you'll be in other parts of the world before you know it. So, man, I definitely appreciate all of that. So lastly, you know, and out of respect for time, man, one, I just want to say again, man, appreciate you for taking the interview, highlighting what we're doing with the World Youth Foundation and the YIP Saturday, and giving them even more information, you know, and helping them understand that, one, you can create your own lane, you can carve your way, keep your confidence up. And it's okay if you're destroying yourself, you know, early on in life. You can make a conscious decision to turn that around as well, you know, and that's basically what it's all about. And let me get in the comments. So, as it relates to Black History Month, I want to make sure we definitely speak on that. And there's so many different things I can ask, but like we were talking about earlier, I'd rather you just share whatever information or piece or what comes to mind for you as it relates to aviation being conducive with Black History Month.
I think the first thing to mind is a story about a lady named Azalea White. Azalea White is the first Black lady to get her license in the state of Texas.
Okay.
She got her license in 1946, right? So for most people, they've never heard of this lady. I get my hair cut by Worthing, right there in Sunnyside. One day I'm getting my hair cut in the barbershop. My barber Ed said, "Hey man, you should go up my street. It's a lady over there. Every time I set the garage up, I see like airplane parts in the garage. I think her husband was something in the, you know, it is something in the aviation. They may be, you know, a good place to talk to somebody, you know, find out what they did." Right. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, it's aviation related. It's in the hood. Why not? Right. So I go over there and knock on the lady's door, and some other lady comes to the door, say, you know, may I help you? And I say, yeah, I'm just here to speak to the lady or the man of the house. And they say, well, the lady of the house, well, she's in bed right now. Are you a reporter? I'm thinking, no. Why would I be a reporter? Well, I'm a reporter. Like, I just want to introduce myself because I work in the aviation field. Well, she's asleep. I'm like, okay, I'll just try her another day, right? So I went back 3 times. But every time she sleep. Come to find out, the lady is Azalea White. Wow. She lived to be 106 years old. Wow. She was cutting her own grass in Sunnyside until she was 99. Wow. Right? So I met her, and immediately, like I was the director of the museum at the time, and we're the home of the Texas Aviation Hall of Fame. So it's like the NBA Hall of Fame. It's like the top of the top. Yeah. Right? And so when I met her, I immediately said, she needs her roses,
Mhm,
right? So I knew the importance and the value she brought to the Black community.
Right.
Naturally, where I worked at, they didn't. They didn't believe it, right? They didn't believe she existed. So I went and told my boss, who's the CEO, he was only one person working above me, the CEO, there's a woman I need you to come and see in the flesh.
Wow.
She's walking Black history.
Wow.
Right? So he brought him to her, and he was blown away. And he was a 3-star general in the Air Force, like super, super cool guy. He just didn't even know she existed. He met her, and immediately he said she's on the short list to get into the Hall of Fame. To get into the Hall of Fame is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So he did everything. Shout out to General Owens, who did everything to get Azalea White elected into the Hall of Fame. And ABC 13, everybody started doing these news stories on her and stuff. And it was just, I was impressed. I never heard her say anything negative.
Right.
So I'm asking like questions about way back then, and I know how tough it was. But she was just always positive. Right. Everything she said was positive.
Right.
And she passed away last year, the year before. Last year, I believe, 19. She passed away in 19 and at 106 years old. So when we talk about Black history, I mean, it's literally right here in our face. And I was blessed to be able to be a part of her story, right, to help her get inducted into the Hall of Fame. She's in a few more Hall of Fame since then, but she was right here in Houston.
And just nobody knew. And y'all.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and she wasn't celebrated even when she passed away. So one of my focuses is when I have these flyers, I'm going to name them after her because of her importance. And I love seeing Black women in aviation. That's one thing I really want to point out. Sisters of the Skies. For people that are listening, that's a great organization full of Black women helping other Black women get involved in aviation. Wow. You look them up they've been on Good Morning America.
Sisters of the Skies.
Sisters of the Skies. Wow. Legacy Flight Academy. We got the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. That's the Black Air Traffic Controllers. We got the Latino Pilot Association, the National Gay Pilot Association, Women in Aviation, National Business Aviation Association. So these are all organizations that are doing great things. We just don't know. Wow. Right? Wow. They got millions of dollars worth of scholarships that everybody else applying for, but we're not applying for because we don't know. Right? So again, when we talk about Black history, so much respect for Azalea White, the Tuskegee Airmen, Bessie Coleman, Lou Freeman. It's just so many phenomenal people that set the path for me to come on and allow me to do what I'm doing. And there's so many young people right now who are doing great things in aviation too, whether they're flying the planes, fixing the planes. We got some Instagram, what do they call influencers?
Influencers, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Mel the Traveler, like they're really cool dudes.
Right.
I'm just not a social media guy.
I got you.
They took it and made it their own. So they fly celebrities around doing tricks with the planes.
Wow.
It's cool.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing, yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's good, man. Aviation is fun. It's just our lack of exposure and our lack of awareness and our lack of accessibility to it. Yeah. We don't know. Right. We just don't know. We don't know. And you just don't know what you don't know. That's one of the things that sticks with me. So that's why I named the show The Reach, and I was excited about today's, interview because, man, you're sharing stuff that is not always shared, and I always say it. And that's from my perspective, which is something that I would have to work on in myself to get more exposed, being an older adult. But then there's still there's other people that are like me. They just don't know, you know what I'm saying? And so when you're opening the doors to this information, you know what I'm saying, and you're sharing it and with the enthusiasm and with the honesty and with just the, just humbleness that you're doing it in, man, I just applaud you on that, brother. And I mean, you're walking Black history, as it stands. And I mean, you've set the tone. So, any of my guests coming behind you, man, y'all gonna have to come with it, and I mean, no disrespect. I have some awesome guests that are lined up over the next few weeks, but I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for being part of the show and sharing the things that you're sharing, and looking forward to Saturday. And I hope, Lord says the same, we can possibly still fly, but I just want people to know that whatever happens is going to be awesome. And it's definitely going to be something that we'll take from it. So, what would be your last words, man, in this platform, whether it be to the people, to me, to whatever? What would be your last words that you would want to share? Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I've done interviews and stuff before already. I've I've done that, right? And I told you before we started, these conversations, this is where you get the authentic version.
Right.
So I appreciate you. I appreciate the DJ. I appreciate everybody that came today. Like my son here, he's in his natural state.
Absolutely.
So, this is real, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's awesome, man.
I appreciate you, allowing us to be free.
Right.
Having it being talk about this.
Yeah.
Because you actually get more out of me that way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, somebody will probably reach out and say, hey, can you come to my show? But I want you to talk on this.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure. You already know what to expect.
Right,
it's going to be dry.
Right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I don't do that, man. No disrespect to anybody who does that. I don't send free questions. Maybe there'll be a time when I get to it, but I got the same sentiments, man. You'll end up getting more if you just have a conversation, and you'll reach farther from that. So, Mr. Rodney Thomas, he says, tell them about the push for Black aviation memorabilia in the airports, museums, and private airspaces.
Okay, so what we try to do is, a lot of people fly.
Mm-hmm.
I know right now COVID is hit, but as these vaccines roll out, whether you take them or not, or as people start flying more, I tell you, a lot of business happens in airports,
mm-hmm.
right? So whether it's pictures of young Black people in flight suits or working on planes or our pioneers, why aren't there more in these airports?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't there more? I'll tell you, in Dallas, I did a lot of training in Dallas. Southwest Airlines, all their billboards have Black people or Hispanic people. So they're big on the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And me being in aviation, I noticed that. So that means young people are noticing, if I want to go work at Southwest, there's somebody that looks like me at Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that sets the tone for why do they have and a lot Southwest employees, their Wall Street name is Love, L-U-V.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
That's how you know it's Southwest.
Right.
All the employees absolutely love working there.
Okay.
Right. So it's a diverse company. So we do need more women. We need more Hispanics. We need more minorities, whether Asian and so forth, featured as aviation professionals
mm-hmm.
in airports, on your way to airports, in the billboards, in the marketing materials.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why kids aren't interested in it.
Right.
So
right.
in the presentation you'll see Saturday, like I never do my presentation publicly. If you come to an event, you'll see it. And you'll see me with pictures of Jay-Z. You'll see me with pictures of Kevin Hart. You'll see, and the reason I do that is for the young people to see those people that you look up to, the planes they fly.
Mm-hmm.
It's people that look like us that fly them
yeah.
from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So while y'all scuffling to get tickets to their concerts, they give them to us
for
free.
You might be in the community that can help you out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right? So it's just about that
critical thinking, man.
For me, networking has taken me places my money.
Right.
And that is so critical.
Yeah.
Even with the image with the tattoos, again, I'm not gonna go and cover up my tattoos because it's part of my story.
Yeah.
And if somebody,
it's a message in there, man.
It's a message. So if people, you take it out. If you take the positive out of it, and you make a decision from that point, that's great. But it's again, I mean, no disrespect to anybody that's tattoo artists, and for you, that's great.
Right.
But for my chosen profession, that's male dominated, that's Caucasian dominated, where I'm being judged every single day.
Yeah.
This is just not conducive to, typically not conducive to a successful captain.
Right. Right.
So that's what I would leave with. I just want to shout out my family. I appreciate them supporting me. Rodney, Too Good Media, who's coming out to do the video and the pictures. Again, my group chat, phenomenal. My close friends from Fifth Ward and South Park, really all around Houston, and the nation.
Yeah.
They've been having a good support system. I can't do this by myself.
Absolutely.
Having a good support system.
Yeah, and we'll talk, man. I want to feature you, man, every week, just to keep the word out there, man. Like a little promo commercial, whatever. You got somebody else doing a question. Do you have any further endeavors to outreach further than the Houston area?
Yes, I do it nationally because I'm from Houston. That's where we start. But we do it nationally. So I've been in DC, Florida, Denver, literally pretty much anywhere you can think of. I'll go if there's a need.
Right.
And then I'm not charging. Though I know my value,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say gotta give me five. What's your budget?
Right.
I'm not coming out if you can't give me $5,000. Like
Yeah.
I literally, one person I'll speak to, I flew out to Philadelphia. I think they had a $500 budget, right? All I could do was pay for my ticket.
Wow.
I flew out to Philadelphia, the first flight that morning, spoke at a Black History Month event, and then came back to Houston with no money. They gave me lunch to do that.
Wow.
But the opportunity,
it's the passion.
My network from that trip though expanded exponentially.
Yeah.
Because I went to a whole nother place. I'd never been to Philadelphia before.
Yeah.
But they reached out to me via LinkedIn.
Right.
And they paid for my flight and gave me lunch, and the people were phenomenal.
Right.
So somebody could have gave me $5,000, but it would have been a horrible experience. Right. But they paid for my flight on commercial.
You'd have got that, spent that, and nothing come from it. Yeah.
So I do outreach events, virtual events as well. At the end of the day, it's about the quality.
Absolutely.
Of what's presented. And I don't work with everybody.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. If you tell me, hey man, I'm trying to get these kids out here to do something that I don't believe in, nah, I'm not.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Man, listen, this has been amazing, man. Shout out to Mr. Kenneth Morris. And let me put your credentials back up here on the screen. To brother Kenneth Morris, U.S. Navy veteran. We didn't even talk about that part of the whole situation. But yeah, definitely. That's what I was going to say. The doors are always open. But I wanted to kick this month off. And celebrate Black History Month, talking about aviation. We didn't even get to the Tuskegee Airmen, that deal. But there's plenty that we can talk about, and I want you guys to keep in touch. Find them on all the platforms that we talked about. And I'm gonna put up this Yip Saturday thing again. Join us there, and it's gonna be the Aviation Day at the Lone Star Museum again with Mr. Kenneth Morris, which is the Ellerton Airfield. If you're not already part of that, unfortunately, the registration for that is closed down, but you can go to the website that I have streaming now. I put it back into the comments. So just click on there. It'll show you how to get registered, capture your information. If you want your kids to have great experiences every month beyond this, just get them connected. Shout out to the YIP team, Ms. Ronnie Gabriels, Michelle Daniels, and myself for us putting this thing together and making it happen. But the website is scrolling right there at the bottom of your screen. So go ahead and leave your information, and you'll have the opportunity to be part of this experience virtually this coming Saturday. And we just appreciate everybody that's tuned in. And then, of course, for the Reach Podcast Show, if you contact him based off of this show right here, please let him know that you saw it off the Reach Podcast so we can test our reach, and how you guys got connected. Does nothing necessarily for the show, but we want to make sure that he understands the impact and the reach that we have. So when you reach out to him, just please let him know that you saw him on the Reach Podcast Show and tell him to come back. That's what we'll do. So one last comment, Mr. Roddy Thompson, he said, many lives have been touched by knowing that Kenneth came from where he did to becoming a pilot and remaining grounded in the urban communities. Absolutely, man. That's what it's all about, because you're gonna be that person that walks in the white suit, and talk to a young individual, and years from now he'll be telling his story. So that's what it's all about for me. Yeah, Mr. Rodney, shout out to him, man, and everybody who's been watching hasn't necessarily said anything. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch the playbacks. I'll probably try to get it all uploaded this evening, but if not, you'll definitely be able to visit the Reach Podcast Show on YouTube, for my YouTube page. And then you can also listen to us audio only on the Anchor app, and look for the Reach Podcast Show on the Anchor app. And just make your comments, give us any feedback, message me. And if you know of a Black history story, somebody who's making Black history, whether it be yourself or someone that you know of, please send an inbox, email me at thereachpodcastshow.com and let us know about it. We want to tell as many stories as we can. And you guys stay tuned in next week. We will be having a doctor, Miss Tamika Beckford. And she started one of the first African-American owned I don't want to murder it, but she can see people online. That's the thing, the telehealth deal that she started her own company, and it's extraordinary what she's doing. So I'm looking forward to interviewing her next week. So you guys tune in next week, man. But again, I'd like to have you. Shout out to Mr. Kenneth Morris and Mr. KJ Jr. and then all the team here, the Flow family. Check out Flow Studios if you want to do your own podcast, if you want to do any rehearsing, if you want to have photo needs, or if you just want to get in the booth and spit your hot lyrics. DJ along with a few other people can help you mix that up. And, shout out to my assistant here. We're going to have her on the show next week. And I appreciate all of you guys for staying locked with the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis. And shout out, see you, Clip, Mr. John Clipper. And we're signing off, man. It has been a great, great, great show. So we appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.